Picture this. It's a Tuesday night in late October. A woman named Maria is standing in her kitchen in the Bronx. Her phone rings. A man says he's calling from Con Edison, her electric company. He tells her she's behind on her bill, almost $400 there, and if she doesn't pay right now, her power will be shut off before midnight. She panics. She has two kids. She owes her sister money. She opens the Chase app on her phone, taps Zelle, types in the name Coned Billing, and sends $1,476.89. Then the man on the phone convinces her to send a second payment for a service fee, a third one for reconnection, a fourth for verification. By the time she calls the real Con Edison, the number on the back of her paper bill, it's too late. The money is gone. The scammer's account is empty. And Maria just lost her rent money for the month. My comprehensive overview of this script is crafted to deliver high-stakes, viewer-protecting information with authority and urgency. She called Chase the next morning. She waited on hold for 43 minutes. A representative told her calmly and firmly that Chase could not help her. The bank said the transfers were authorized. They said she was the one who tapped send. They said the deposit agreement she signed when she opened her account years ago didn't cover this. Bank can't get her the money back. That detail, can't, wasn't a customer service line. It was the language of case law. And here's the part that should stop you cold. This came straight out of a federal court ruling, Wilkins versus Navy Federal Credit Union, decided in the District of New Jersey, handed down on January 18th, 2023 by a federal judge named Susan D. Wigington. It's a real ruling. It's been cited by banks ever since. And it is now the single most important legal shield the banks hold when they tell you no. Subscribe to this channel right now like you're putting a legal flashlight in your pocket, because one day you will reach for it in the dark and you will be glad it's already there. Now, what Maria didn't know is that her story, almost word for word, was named in a real lawsuit filed in August of this year by New York's Attorney General Letitia James. That lawsuit names the company that operates Zelle early warning services and alleges that more than $1 billion was stolen through Zelle between 2017 and 2023 by scammers running this exact kind of impersonation playbook. The same complaint mentioned Chase by name in the same kind of case Maria lived through. The complaint says that when Maria called her bank, Chase told her, quote, "can't get her that money back," end quote. This court filing isn't a theory. It is now a piece of public record. Maria's story and thousands of stories like hers are sitting in the docket of a New York State court, waiting for the kind of justice that the federal government quietly walked away from. And that walkaway is the second piece of this shift. In December of 2024, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the regulator that was supposed to be standing between you and your bank, filed a federal lawsuit against J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Zelle's parent company. The CFPB said those banks failed to protect millions of customers. The complaint alleged $870 million in losses over 7 years. Then, in March of 2025, the new leadership at the CFPBE, under acting director Russell Vought, quietly dropped the case. One regulator walked away. One state attorney general stepped in. The math for consumers didn't change. The math for the banks changed dramatically. So today, the rule in plain English is this. If a scammer convinces you to press send, your bank is now, in most cases, legally allowed to keep your money. That is not me being dramatic. That is the working effect of a real federal ruling that became more powerful the moment the agency that should have challenged it decided not to. Let me say that again so it lands. There are two forces colliding right now. On one side, your money, your phone, your family's safety net, your ability to pay rent if something goes wrong. On the other side, a court ruling, a regulator's silence, and a deposit agreement full of small print you never read. Those two forces are crashing into each other, and the side with more lawyers is winning almost every time. Here's the legal idea behind that ruling, in plain English. Federal law has a rule called Regulation E. It's part of the Electronic Fund Transfer Act. Its job is to protect you when someone moves money out of your account without your permission. The law says if a transfer is unauthorized, the bank has to refund you, investigate, and follow a strict 60-day window. Now, this is the moment the floor opens beneath you. The ruling in Wilkins versus Navy Federal said that when a scammer tricks you into pressing send, the transfer isn't unauthorized. According to that ruling, you authorized it. You typed in the name. You tapped send. You entered the code. The bank's deposit agreement said it would only step in if someone else moved your money without your permission. You moved it. The shield did not protect you. That is the mistake most people don't even know they're making. They think the law is there to protect them from being tricked. The ruling says in a specific, narrow, technical way that the law protects you from being hacked, not from being deceived. There's a difference. That difference is the difference between getting your money back and losing it forever. If that just landed like a weight in your chest, stay with me. There's a survival protocol coming, and it works. But first, you need to understand one more domino. The CFPB lawsuit that got dropped wasn't just about 3 banks. It was the central federal case that, had it survived, would have forced banks to treat scam-induced Zelle transfers as unauthorized under Regulation E. The relief consumers were hoping for, automatic refunds, mandatory delay windows, mandatory fraud warnings, that relief was sitting in that lawsuit. When the new CFPB dropped it, that relief evaporated. Now, Zelle's parent company says it is pleased the case was dropped. The case it was pleased about alleged $870 million in fraud losses that it was supposed to be preventing. That single sentence tells you everything about the change that just happened. But here's the part that should make you feel something, and not just anger, something closer to relief. The New York Attorney General's lawsuit is now in state court, where the Wilkins ruling does not bind a state court judge. State general business law, state consumer protection law, and the duty of reasonable care are different tools. That lawsuit is moving forward. Other states are watching. Now, here's a beat nobody is talking about. While everyone is watching the lawsuits, banks are quietly beefing up the language in their deposit agreements. The next time you log in, you may see an updated Zelle disclosure explaining that you are authorizing every transfer you send, even if you're being deceived. That fine print shifts the cost of scam losses from the bank to you legally with a single checkbox you never think about. That's the trap. The ruling is the door. The disclosures are the hallway, and you are the one walking down it without a flashlight unless you take the steps I'm about to give you. Let me say this clearly. This is not a hopeless situation. There is a real survival protocol that works. The people who follow these steps don't lose their money, and they don't lose their rights. The people who don't follow them often lose both. First, before you ever send a Zelle payment to someone you don't physically know, even if you think the situation is urgent, stop. That word, urgent, is the single biggest red flag. Real utility companies, real government agencies, and real law enforcement do not demand immediate payment through a peer-to-peer phone app. They send letters. They give you days. If someone is rushing you through your phone, that pressure is the scam. The rate of the scam is the scam itself. The speed is the weapon. Second, if a caller claims to be from your bank, hang up and dial the number on the back of your card. Not the number they give you, not the number that came up in your caller ID, the number physically printed on your debit card. Banks will never object to you calling them back. Banks will never pressure you to stay on the line while you transfer money. If the person on the phone objects, you are talking to a thief. Third, never use Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, or any peer-to-peer app to pay someone you have not met, even if the seller seems legitimate. Zelle is built for sending money to people you already know, your landlord, your family, your roommate for utilities. It's not built for online purchases. It's not built for strangs at all. Every transfer is instant and almost always irreversible. If a stranger asks you to pay them by Zelle, the answer is no, always. No exceptions. That single word is the difference between a refund request and a goodbye letter. Fourth, if you get tricked, the first 60 seconds matter most. Call your bank's fraud line, not the regular customer service line. The regular line puts you in a queue. The fraud line has a different routing. Look on the back of your card or in the app for a dedicated fraud number. State clearly and in this exact language, "I have been the victim of an impersonation scam. I am reporting an unauthorized electronic fund transfer under Regulation E, and I am initiating the 60-day dispute window." That phrase does two things. It pulls you into the federal protection framework. It puts the bank on a documented record. It also signals to the representative that you know your rights, and that changes the tone of the call. Fifth, write it down the moment you hang up. Date, time, representative name, ticket number, every word they said. If your dispute is denied, you'll need this for the next step. If they tell you the transfer was authorized, write that down verbatim. You will use those exact words when you escalate to a regulator. Sixth, if your bank denies the dispute, escalate. You are not done. You're just beginning. File a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau at consumerfinance.gov. Yeah, that's the federal agency. File a complaint with your state attorney general. File a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. File a complaint with your state banking regulator. Filing with multiple agencies isn't a waste of time. It's pressure from multiple directions, and banks respond to pressure. One complaint gets a form letter. 4 complaints get a different tone at the bank. Seventh, photograph and screenshot everything before the bank finishes their investigation. Save the text messages from the scammer. Screenshot the Zelle transfer confirmation. Save the call log with the scammer's number. Save the email or the web page they sent. Digital evidence disappears fast. If you have it the day you call, you hold it for weeks. If you have it for weeks, your regulator has it too. Eighth, talk to your family tonight. Tell them the protocol, especially elderly parents, especially college-aged kids. Tell them never use Zelle under pressure. Tell them hang up and call the real number. Tell them the first 60 seconds are sacred. Tell them where your bank cards are and what to do if you're ever not reachable. Leave a printed copy of your bank fraud hotline next to the Wi-Fi router. This is the kind of family safety conversation most people have after a loss. Have it before. Now, here's the part I want you to hold on to. Every step in that protocol costs you nothing. Every step works whether the ruling is on your side or against you. Every step moves you from a customer who got tricked to a customer who documented, escalated, and fought. Banks don't fight customers who fight back. Banks fight customers who give up after the first no. There is also one important thing I have to say out loud for the record. The New York Attorney General's lawsuit, the one filed in August of 2025 by Letitia James, is real. It is currently active. It specifically names the company that operates Zelle, Early Warning Services. It specifically describes losses that match Maria's story. If you live in New York, that lawsuit is your live lifeline. If you live in another state, your state attorney general can be a louder voice than the federal agency that just walked away. Knowing which state is fighting for you is itself protection. Let me restate the stakes so this stays with you. A federal court said scam-induced Zelle transfers are authorized. The federal agency that could have challenged that interpretation dropped its $870 million case. The banks that own Zelle call this progress. A New York state court now holds the only major live challenge to the practice. The next time your phone rings at dinner, the next time a stranger rushes you through your banking app, you are standing at the intersection of those 4 events alone on a Tuesday night with a decision you have to make in 60 seconds. That is the system right now. That is what you are up against. And that is exactly why you needed to hear this before you ever press send. Earlier, I told you that one word, authorized, and kills your protection. Now you understand the chain. The bank's deposit agreement says authorized. The federal judge in Wilkins read the agreement literally. The regulator that should have pushed back on that reading dropped its case, and the banks that funded the platform now have a defensive wall built out of 3 legal layers. You break through that wall by knowing exactly which layer you're stuck on and by hitting the right one with the right words in the right order at the right time. That is what this video just gave you, so keep this with you. When the bank tells you the transfer was authorized, you now know that's not the end of the conversation. That's the beginning of the legal dispute you are entitled to start. When a stranger rushes you through your phone, you now know that the speed is the scam. When a federal agency disappears from your side, you now know your state attorney general is still standing there. That knowledge is a tool, and unlike your Zelle balance, no one can wipe it out with one tap. The court said authorized. The regulator stayed silent. The bank said no. And you, right now, know better than to accept any of those 3 without a fight. That is the difference between the Maria in the kitchen and the Maria who reads this video before her phone ever rings. That is the difference. Don't press send. Subscribe to this channel so this knowledge reaches you before you ever need it, not after.